What if the most formidable challenge to Western air superiority isn't a high-tech stealth platform from a global superpower, but a lean, rugged, and remarkably quiet fighter jet from the snowy, wind-swept landscapes of Sweden? The Saab JS-39. Gripen doesn't command the room with the massive physical proportions or the staggering, eye-watering price tag of a fifth-generation American program like the F-35 Lightning II. It doesn't arrive with the overwhelming political gravity, the heavy diplomatic strings, and the complex international treaties that typically follow Washington's high-end defense exports. Yet behind the secure, soundproof doors of the Pentagon and within the strategic planning rooms of our own National Defense Headquarters on Carling Avenue in Ottawa, senior analysts, defense planners, and military contractors are watching the Gripen with an intense, almost uncomfortable focus. They aren't necessarily worried about a single dogfight in the clouds over a distant battlefield. They are worried because the Gripen challenges the very soul of how a modern air force should function in the 21st century. For a nation like Canada, with our vast, unforgiving Arctic frontier, our three-ocean coastline, and the constant, mounting pressure on our federal budget to balance social services with national security, the Gripen isn't just a jet. It is a mirror reflecting a fundamentally different way of thinking about national sovereignty, fiscal responsibility, and the long-term protection of our majestic northern borders. To truly understand why the Pentagon is paying such close attention to Sweden's quiet fighter, we have to move past the glossy marketing brochures and separate the corporate hype from the cold, hard, and often brutal reality of modern warfare. Let's be clear from the outset. The United States military and its massive, influential defense contractors aren't shaking in their boots because a Gripen can outmaneuver an F-35 in every possible engagement scenario or outclimb an F-22 Raptor. That isn't the point, and it never has been. The real concern is structural, economic, and deeply strategic in nature. The Gripen represents a philosophy of air power that is perfectly tailored for mid-sized nations, NATO allies, and middle powers who simply cannot afford the luxury or the debt of American-style trillion-dollar force projection. This Swedish model threatens the long-term dominance of high-cost centralized air power and, by extension, the massive political influence that comes with it. The Gripen doesn't aim to beat America by being more technologically complex or by having more exotic materials in its fuselage. It challenges the American model by being good enough at a mere fraction of the cost, while offering a level of mission availability and operational readiness that most ultra-modern jets simply cannot match on their best days. To understand the Gripen, you must understand the unique environment and the history of the nation that forged it. Sweden, much like Canada, is a nation that has historically had to plan for the absolute worst-case scenario. During the height of the Cold War, Swedish planners operated under the grim, daily assumption of a surprise attack by an enemy with overwhelming numerical superiority from the east. They knew with absolute certainty that their primary air bases and long, paved runways would be targeted and destroyed within the first hour of a conflict. Consequently, Saab designed the Gripen to do exactly what the F-35 and F-22 cannot: operate from ordinary two-lane highways, be serviced by small crews consisting mostly of conscripts with minimal formal training, and turn around for a new combat mission, refueled and rearmed, in under 10 minutes. This is the very definition of distributed air power. It is a system built to survive and strike back after the main infrastructure has been turned to rubble. In the Canadian context, where our northern reaches lack massive, reinforced runways and where we rely on a handful of forward operating locations, FOLs, scattered across the tundra, this capability isn't just a neat feature, it is a necessity for true northern defense. The comparison that defense contractors, lobbyists, and politicians hate to make in public involves the operating cost per flight hour. It is the dirty secret of the global aerospace industry that rarely makes it into the evening news or the parliamentary debates. A modern Gripen costs significantly less to purchase and maintain than almost any other Western fighter jet currently on the market today. But the real shock to the system, the part that truly keeps planners awake at night, is the sheer difference in daily operations. Because the Gripen's cost is so low, smaller air forces can actually afford to fly their pilots more often. They can train more hours, conduct more complex exercises, and maintain a higher state of constant readiness over a much longer period. From the Pentagon's perspective, this creates a dangerous narrative for their export market. What happens when allies start asking the tough questions at the budget table? Why are we paying so much for complexity we might never use? Is an affordable, high-readiness Air Force actually better for our specific national defense needs than a handful of ultra-expensive stealth jets that are often grounded for maintenance? In this sense, the Gripen doesn't just sell aircraft, it sells questions that challenge the entire Western military-industrial status quo. The heart of the Gripen's legendary reliability lies in its engine and maintenance philosophy. While the U.S. often pushes for extreme thrust and cutting-edge performance that requires frequent, highly specialized care in climate-controlled hangars with pristine floors, the Swedish approach prioritizes reliability and fast replacement in the field. The engine is built for long service intervals and can be swapped out in a matter of hours with basic tools and a small team. This ensures that the aircraft stays available for combat, rather than sitting in a hangar waiting for a specialized team of technicians to arrive from halfway across the world. For Canadian taxpayers who have watched the rising costs and frustrating delays of military procurement over the last 40 years, this focus on availability over prestige is a refreshing lesson in fiscal responsibility. High performance and stealth coatings mean absolutely nothing if the fleet is grounded due to a lack of parts or overly complex software that requires a constant connection to a server in another country. Availability is what actually wins wars when the chips are down and the environment is hostile. One of the most misunderstood aspects of the Gripen is its sophisticated approach to data links and sensor integration. The jet was designed from its first blueprint to share information instantly with ground forces, naval assets, and other aircraft in the sky. It is fully interoperable with NATO systems, but here is the crucial part that makes Washington nervous. It does so without being totally dependent on American-controlled networks and proprietary software locks. This is a significant strategic red flag for any superpower. When a country buys American aircraft, they are often tied tightly into the U.S. command architecture, U.S. logistics, and U.S.-approved software updates. The Gripen offers a path to interoperability without surrendering full national sovereignty. For a nation like Canada, maintaining our own independent decision-making capability in the Arctic is a point of deep national pride and long-term strategic importance. We need tools that work for us, on our terms, in our environment, without needing a permission slip from a foreign capital to access our own data. Saab's export model further complicates the traditional relationship with the U.S. defense industry. Unlike many U.S. programs that keep their core technology under tight lock and key, the Swedish model often includes significant technology transfer, local assembly, and industrial participation. They invite the buyer to become a true partner in the life and evolution of the aircraft. This makes the Gripen incredibly attractive to nations that want to grow their own domestic aerospace sector and ensure long-term industrial independence. Every Gripen sold represents one less country fully integrated into the U.S. logistics tail for the next 50 years. It isn't about ego. It's about a fundamental shift of influence away from a single superpower and toward a more multipolar world where nations have the tools to defend themselves on their own terms. It's about the democratization of high-end defense technology, allowing nations to build their own industrial base rather than simply being customers of a foreign giant. While the Gripen isn't a pure stealth fighter in the way we traditionally think of the F-35 with its internal weapon bays and specialized skin, it uses a more holistic and arguably more realistic approach to survivability in the modern age. Its designers focused on world-class advanced electronic warfare, superior situational awareness, and the tactical ability to operate from dispersed, hidden locations. In the modern era, we are learning through hard experience that stealth is not a cloak of invisibility, it is a diminishing return. Sensors are constantly improving, and radar technology is evolving to find even the smallest signatures. What truly matters in a real conflict is the ability to avoid detection long enough to strike effectively and then survive to fly again tomorrow. The Gripen embraces this reality by focusing on digital stealth and extreme tactical flexibility. It proves that you don't necessarily need the most expensive airframe in the world to be effective if you have the smartest software and the best tactical doctrine for your specific terrain. There is an uncomfortable truth that seasoned military veterans and those who served in the Cold War understand very well. A cheaper jet flown 200 hours a year by a well-trained, confident pilot will almost always outperform a superior jet flown only 40 hours a year by a pilot whose Air Force can't afford the fuel, the spare parts, or the maintenance hours. The Gripen's extreme efficiency allows for a level of pilot proficiency that is becoming increasingly harder to achieve with ultra-complex, high-maintenance platforms. This is why the Pentagon watches Sweden so closely and why they lobby so hard against it. Readiness is the true, honest currency of air power. If a nation can maintain a fleet of 50 jets at 90% readiness for the same price as 20 jets at 50% readiness, the strategic math of deterrence changes completely. For Canada, a country with the second largest landmass on Earth and 3 different oceans to monitor, having more eyes in the sky more often is an incredibly compelling argument for our security and our sovereignty. The ability of the Gripen to thrive in sub-zero temperatures is another factor that resonates deeply with the Canadian experience. Our CF-18s have served us well, but as they age, the challenge of maintaining them in the high Arctic becomes increasingly difficult. The Gripen was born in the Swedish winter, designed to be handled by mechanics wearing heavy gloves and working in the dark. This ruggedness is a direct reflection of a national character that understands the cold. When we talk about protecting the Northwest Passage, or monitoring foreign incursions in the Beaufort Sea, we need an aircraft that doesn't shy away from the ice. The Swedish philosophy of simplicity as a strength is a perfect match for the Canadian North, where complexity often leads to failure and simplicity leads to survival. As we look at the future of NATO and our own North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, obligations, we face a profound strategic dilemma that will define our military for the next half-century. On one hand, U.S.-made aircraft like the F-35 offer world-leading stealth and deep integration into the world's most powerful intelligence networks. Buying American strengthens the alliance's standardization, but it also creates a deep, multi-generational reliance on U.S. political approval and proprietary software control. On the other hand, the Swedish model offers affordable, independent air power that can survive in the harshest sub-zero conditions without a massive, multi-billion-dollar budget. This exposes a truth that we as a nation must eventually confront. Air superiority isn't just about who has the fanciest, most expensive jet on the tarmac during a summer air show in Abbotsford or Ottawa. It's about how many of those jets can actually scramble and fly when the sensors go dark, the GPS is jammed, and the temperature drops to -40 in the high Arctic. Furthermore, we must consider the industrial impact on Canada. Our aerospace sector is a jewel of our national economy, employing thousands of highly skilled workers from coast to coast. When we enter into defense contracts, we aren't just buying hardware. We are investing in our own future. The Swedish approach to industrial partnership offers a blueprint for how Canada could revitalize its own defense manufacturing capabilities. By choosing platforms that allow for local maintenance, software modification, and parts production, we ensure that our tax dollars stay within our borders, supporting Canadian families and fostering Canadian innovation. This is about more than just a jet. It's about the long-term health of our industrial base and our ability to remain a leader in aerospace technology. The Pentagon doesn't fear the Gripen because it's an unstoppable killing machine or a miracle weapon from a sci-fi movie. They fear what the Gripen represents to the rest of the world, a future where air power is decentralized, costs are manageable, and national dominance isn't the exclusive playground of a single superpower. The Gripen is living proof that smart design, realistic doctrine, and a commitment to national independence can challenge even the largest and most established military systems in existence today. It's a reminder that sometimes the most dangerous weapon in the national arsenal isn't a missile, a radar-absorbent coating, or a supersonic engine. It's a better, more practical, and more sustainable way of thinking. As Canadians, we should take immense pride in the fact that there are models out there that prioritize the rugged, the reliable, and the independent. It's a conversation worth having, and it's a strategy worth studying as we look to protect our own borders and our northern sovereignty for the next generation. In conclusion, the story of the Gripen is a story of resilience and ingenuity. It is the story of a small nation that refused to be intimidated by the scale of its neighbors and instead chose to innovate. This spirit is something that we, as Canadians, can deeply relate to. We have always punched above our weight on the world stage, and we have always found ways to thrive in environments that others find inhospitable. Whether it's on the ice of a hockey rink or the ice of the Arctic Circle, we know that being the biggest isn't always as important as being the smartest and the most prepared. The Gripen is a testament to that philosophy, and its presence in the global market is a healthy reminder that there is always more than one way to achieve security and excellence. We would truly love to hear your thoughts on this critical issue. Given our unique Canadian geography and the immense challenges of defending the North, do you think Canada should focus more on high-tech, high-cost stealth, or on rugged, high-readiness platforms like the ones Sweden has pioneered? Does the idea of industrial independence and technology transfer matter more to you than being part of the most exclusive American tech programs? Please leave a comment below to share your perspective on how we should best protect our national sovereignty in an uncertain world. Thank you to the veterans, the retired RCAF personnel, the aerospace workers, and the defense enthusiasts in our community for providing the deep insights that make these discussions so meaningful. Your experience adds incredible value to the conversation. Thank you for your service to Canada and for helping us keep these important topics at the forefront of the national dialogue. Your engagement helps ensure that the future of Canadian defense is shaped by the voices of those who understand it best.